Welcome to the Delaney Student Union training for our online reservation system called EMS Web App. My name is Morgan Holbrook, and I am an event planning associate for the Delaney Student Union. Today, we're going to walk through how to access Web App, view space availability, request a reservation including rooms, equipment, and services, edit existing requests, view the status of requests, and cancel an entire reservation or individual bookings. So here is the web app homepage. On the left are some helpful links about our policies and what to think about when you're booking a meeting or an event. To access web app, you have to have an account, which we grant. And if you don't have an account, and I put a link in the email that I initially sent out, but if you don't have an account yet, there's a link here. There's also a button over on the right side, but this is the link to use. And you can see it's just some basic information, including your name and number, phone number, email address, and the organization that you'll be representing. So, all right. All accounts are, all account requests are processed during business hours. So, I mean, obviously students, we have classes and stuff. So anything that happens outside of that, or if you only have time outside of that to make your requests or book your reservations outside of that, then it won't be processed until the next business day. Student groups are limited to 3 active accounts at any given time, 2 officers and 1 advisor. Yeah, this green button over here is not enabled. So when you do have an account, just click the sign in button. You have to go through the Duo process. You input all your information here. And I'm doing this in an incognito window. I think that's what they call it in Google, as well as I think in Safari or Edge, it's called in private. That just helps with there have been some issues with the cookies, so I recommend using the in private mode or clearing your cookies in advance. Yeah, once you sign in and you get authenticated through Duo, you're going to have this reservation homepage. Let's see. Again, we've got links on the left here to help you plan your event and just be more mindful of our policies. And you'll notice blue question marks in certain places, which can offer information on certain topics. For example, here. Okay. Now, given that this is an RSO specific training, you're not going to have all of these options that I do. Yours will say student group or RSO, and the different templates that you can reserve with are registering for market days, what you see here, requesting medium or large indoor spaces, requesting priority status event, requesting small meeting rooms, outdoor event spaces, and tabling. And then other groups will have different reservation templates assigned, dependent on their permissions. And then each template has different rules which apply. For example, a lot of our outdoor and larger spaces, you need at least a week in advance. You can see what those are here. For example, let's go to large indoor spaces for RSOs. So for the medium and large indoor space template, you can cancel within 2 days by 5 p.m. And you have to, you have to book by 5 p.m. 7 days in advance. So, and that changes based on what sort of template you're using. And you can again see that by clicking the About button over here. So before we go into booking, I want to talk a little bit about the reservation structure. So the main thing to know is the difference between a reservation and a booking. A reservation consists of one or more bookings, and every booking belongs to a reservation. So bookings kind of roll up to reservations. A reservation is the who and the what of the event. So who is the group using the space and what are they doing with the space? And a booking is the where and when. So what time, what day, what space. So next we're going to look at events that I made. For example, this weekly club meeting in a small meeting room, which will be taking place every Monday until the end of the semester. This weekly club meeting is the what of the reservation. The UNF Delaney Student Union is the who of the reservation. And then for the bookings, we have the when being Mondays at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and the where being 3602. So yeah, once you click on your event, you can see all of this information in much greater detail, your first contact, your second contact, your reservation information, and all of your current bookings and past bookings, if that's applicable. And every reservation, will have a unique 6-digit reservation ID. That's the main way we use to reference and look up any information regarding your event. Now these bookings can have one or more booking details associated with it. Booking details are the resources such as equipment and technology for the event, or services such as people or custodial that are needed, as well as any notes or activities or room charges for the event. Resources could include furniture and audiovisual, plus the services of a dedicated event services assistant to run their event audiovisual, and a messy or craft activity such as poster making. Okay. So let's go home. And we'll actually look at the process of requesting a reservation. So first we'll click Create Reservation. And then at this point, it's sort of important to consider what sort of event you want to host. For example, an outdoor amphitheater movie night or a field day on the green would be requested through the Request an Outdoor Event Space template. A ballroom banquet or show or meeting for a larger group or a speaker in an auditorium be requested through a medium or large indoor space template. Conference rooms or smaller groups, such as the weekly club meeting that I made in 3602, would be request a small meeting room if you're familiar with our space. And then tabling. So if you want a table out on the green or the library walkway, we have a template specifically for tabling. And then if you have a more complex event, such as a pageant where you might have a performance or some sort of presentation in the auditorium, but you want to use the small meeting rooms or meeting rooms upstairs as changing rooms or like a green room or something like that, you would use request multiple event spaces here. So yeah, for this training, we'll just go ahead and book a small meeting room, a recurring small meeting room event. If you're a group that likes to have meetings often, hopefully this will be very helpful for you. So you click book now. And then I'm going to set this to be, well, hold on, let me back up. So yeah, on this screen, we'll select the first date and time. And you can see some dates are grayed out. That means that those are not within the parameters or the deadlines for that space. So the earliest I could book something is Friday the 26th, this Friday. I'm going to go ahead and book, looks like there's something already for next Thursday. No? Okay. So I'm going to book this as a Thursday evening event. I think people are typically available on Thursdays. So yeah, you can use the calendar button that I just used to find a specific date. Today's date is marked with this blue triangle. And as I mentioned, the selected day will automatically default to the earliest date that you were permitted to book in that space according to our request deadlines. So that's why these 2 days are grayed out. Outdoor tabling in small meeting rooms must be requested 3 business days in advance, and medium meeting rooms, ballroom, the auditorium, and outdoor non-tabling events must be requested 7 days in advance, so at least 1 full week. Now, web app will allow you to request spaces up until the deadlines I just mentioned, but there are some event components that may require more advanced notice to accommodate, such as dedicated event services assistants or special physical facilities work orders if you have an outdoor event and you need extra trash cans or something. So that's, the more time you can give us, the better. These also include amplified sound outdoors, access to the catering kitchen, security through UPD, third-party vendor involvement, and special work orders such as scissor lift to hang decorations. Earlier you submit the request, the more likely we'll be able to make it happen for you. Now, okay, now let's book a proper time and date. This is Thursday night, 5:30. Now, for this portion, you enter the actual event start and end time. So what you're going to advertise, if you want to arrive earlier or leave later for decoration or breakdown, you'll indicate that later. But for now, just put the actual event start and end time in this area. And we'll click search. And it brings up the rooms that are available. If the search does not return any results, that means that something with your timing or your day just conflicts with other stuff that's already in the works. So you just adjust your times and days until you do get results. And keep searching. Now the schedule view will show you sort of a calendar view of available spaces. Our open hours are indicated with these brighter blocks. The time slot in question is marked here with the red lines. And although a room may appear to be available in the schedule view for the start time and end time you selected, each room has set up and tear down windows associated for our staff to go in and reset the room. So for tabling locations, it's usually 0 minutes. For small meeting rooms and Osprey tabling, so these are all small meeting rooms, it will be about 30 minutes. And for the auditorium, meeting rooms, medium meeting rooms, and events in the amphitheater green in Osprey Plaza, we typically require 60 minutes. And for the ballrooms, we typically require at least 90 minutes. So if it's not showing up, it's possible that those wings that are attached to whatever event time you selected are conflicting with other events. So again, that's why you just need to adjust your times to see if then it becomes available. All right, so let's go back to the list view. Okay, so we're going to make this a monthly meeting. And we're going to put it in 3601. Now, when you click on a room, hold on. You can see some of the things that are available here as far as what the room offers. Images of the space, if you've never been here before. Among other information. So to make a recurring meeting, again, such as a monthly meeting, we'll click the recurrence button. And we're going to make this monthly, like I mentioned, on day 1 every month. Let's make it, no, let's make the first Thursday of every month. Yeah, there we go. And we'll make it through July, for example. Apply recurrence. Okay. Now note that the same equipment, setup, and services you select will be applied to all of these recurring bookings. Detail, available setups, yes. Look at that. And we're going to add 3601. I'm going to say 10 people. For the 3600s in particular, you can only do the closed conference, but if this were a meeting room or ballroom space, this would change, or there would be different options available for occurrences. Okay. So you can also add more than one room here. So if for some reason I needed multiple 3600 rooms, I could do that here. But the same details and expected attendance would be applied to every room that I add, as well as all the equipment and services. So if I had added whiteboards or microphones or whatever, if this was a different room, dedicated event services assistants, those would all be associated with every single room that I added. Okay. And when considering the number of attendees, look at this again. Oops. So the number of attendees, this is the number of chairs, of seated people you will need. Not necessarily the number of people that will attend total, because sometimes people come and go. This is the number of chairs that you will need in the space to seat people at a given time. So keep that in mind. It's not necessarily the total expected attendance. You will indicate your total expected attendance later. Okay, we chose our setup type. We've added the room. Now, if you wanted to remove a room, for example, obviously you'd click the red minus. We're going to keep this one. Once you complete all required fields here, we'll click Next Step. Now, like I mentioned before, these are the services and equipment and AV that we'll want. For 3600 room, I don't think we really need an event services assistant, but I'll add one just for demonstration purposes. You can kind of see what the window looks like. If you have any sort of special instructions, like you want them to I don't know. I know in, for example, the auditorium, we've please adjust lights. 1 hour into the meeting. Something like that. You put something like that here, but I won't do that here. Let's see. You can add certain furniture to certain spaces. Depending on the space you pick will dictate what furniture is available to be selected here. So you also have packages available for audiovisual. So in all of our meeting spaces, we have computers, all of our small and medium meeting rooms and the auditorium, we have a computer podium available with a room projector and screen. So you can just click this button to add both of them at once. If you're doing a presentation, add that also. It also tells you the total, what's available, what we can offer as a maximum. Let's say whiteboard marker, because I want to write stuff. And let's say a sign holder in the lobby. And just to be clear, obviously with each package that we pick, you'll have the individual components that are available listed in that, and then it'll be listed underneath for our team to reference. Quantity, special instructions. Okay. And then I don't foresee many of you needing a conference line added, but that option is here and available if I'm wrong. And then other special activities you would indicate here, like I mentioned before, the movie screening and the craft or messy activities. So, and these have our general advisories required for certain special conditions, which you can review as you're making your bookings, your reservations. Now, if you decide you need more than one of these things, you can use the pencil icon to edit the quantity or the instructions. Let's say we want 2 or 3. Please place in the lobby. 3rd floor, 1st floor, west. Yeah. 3rd floor, 1st floor, west. And plaza. Something like that. The more specificity you can provide, the better we'll be able to support your event. Now, if you have any special activities, like I mentioned with the showing the movie, including the pie in the face, other physical activities will be indicated here. And once you're done, you've added everything you think you need. Obviously, this is just a regular meeting. You don't have a lot of special stuff going on. Click next step. And I believe this was a monthly meeting. Monthly club board meeting. All right. Select the event type here. It's a meeting room. It's pretty self-explanatory, but other options are available. So consider the other options whenever you're booking your events. Try to figure out what's the best fit. And the user that I'm associated with is the Delaney Student Union. So through the account request form, that should be filled in for you. I'm going to list myself as the first contact. I'm going to list my email. Also, if any of you need anything for any of your reservations, this is the email to contact me at. I'll list my supervisor as my secondary contact. Now, if you have any drawings, if you have, for example, an outdoor space and you have a special way you want it arranged, you can take a picture or a drawing or whatever, you can attach it here. And I think it's a 10. And again, like I said earlier, how your expected attendance is different from the total number of seats that you might need. Let's say we'll have 15 people attend. We're going to have some guest speakers at our board meeting to talk about stuff and then they'll leave, but they're not going to stay. First contact should be you. Second contact for all student groups should be your advisor. And you can use a magnifying glass like I did to find other people associated with your group or the groups that you're associated with. Now, if your organization or a contact is not listed in that dropdown, email the student union administration to have it added. You also need to pause and request a process for that to first be completed. Attachments, like I mentioned, any documents you want to add. Total estimated attendance is different from the number of chairs needed. Enter that in the number estimated attendance field. Now, if the event involves any of the following, go through here and you kind of select stuff. For example, if you're outdoors or in a larger space, you might use amplified sound, indicate that here. I know for pause your stress event where the therapy dogs can be visited, animals, etc., food. For our board meeting, I don't think we have any of that. So we're going to say none. And it's just going to be students. And like I said, we have some guests coming. This was 5:30 in the evening. I don't think, we'll just say yes, just to be careful. Your event's going to be advertised. We'll keep that stuff here. Social media. And then we're just going to arrive when the event starts, and we're going to leave when the event ends. And because it's just a board meeting, we don't need additional days for loading in or out equipment. Something that might need that, for example, I know we've had a lot of big concerts and performances on campus, but we're going to say no. Okay. Mission, no, no. Donations. All right. Oops. No different. All right. So once you hit create a reservation, you'll get this little window that says that it's been requested. It's not been confirmed. That just means that it's in our system and we're able to look at it. You're reviewed and processed within 24 to 48 hours. Okay. Now, as mentioned earlier, you may want to add to this same reservation additional rooms or different setups or times, etc. So we'll go back and click edit this reservation. Okay, monthly board meeting, contacts, or times. In the top section, you can edit the reservation details, any of the additional information that we added. So it's like, okay, one of our guest speakers canceled. It's only going to be 15, it'll be 14. Something simple like that you can change. And then if you didn't have a sketch and now you've got one, you can add it again, something like that. Kind of explore all these features once you're granted access. Let's see. In the reservation tasks section, you can add or cancel services in bulk. So this is the best way to adjust multiple bookings at one time. So you cancel everything with the cancel reservation button or specific services, for example, which we did not select. So, for example, let's decide, let's say that because that one board member canceled, but they now wanting to phone in with the conference line. We can add that here. Click next step. And we're going to add that to all of our bookings because they've taken an unexpected last-minute trip to somewhere for the summer. So we're going to add that there. Now we can see that stuff has been added. Go to cancel services. Okay. You can see that it's been requested in the view services button here. Okay. If you wanted to delete anything, you click the red minus button, like we talked about earlier. But when you're done, you can click out of that to return. Now, if you decide you want to add a meeting or something, obviously we have the new booking button here. Let's say we want to add a couple of general meetings on, let's see, I think we're doing that the first Thursday of every month. Yeah. So let's say we want to have like a strategy meeting the Tuesday before. Yeah. And again, we can schedule time, recurrence, all the things that we mentioned, and then we look, you can see what's available. So we follow the same process as we did earlier to search for available rooms, and only rooms associated with the chosen reservation template will display. For example, because we use the small meeting room template, we're not going to see the auditorium, ballroom, or other outdoor spaces in this search. If you realize you do need a couple of different types of rooms to add to the reservation, there are a few options. Cancel this reservation and create a new one using the multiple event spaces template we mentioned at the beginning. You can indicate this in the reservation's additional information section that your need for other rooms and student union staff, which will assist us when adding those while we're reviewing your request. And to keep this training shorter, I'm not going to add anything right now. And we're going to click the name of the booking or the reservation at the top to go back to our previous screen here. Okay. Now, if you want to bulk change the dates, so let's say 5:30 doesn't work, we're going to select all with that checkbox there, and we're going to change the time. Start booking, yeah, we'll start booking later. We're going to start it by, instead of 5:30, we're going to start it at 6. So we select minutes, 30. And sometimes we get errors. Let's reschedule booking to a specific time. 6 p.m. So yeah, if you get an internal server error like that, I recommend just going back here and kind of like we said earlier with the additional information, editing it, adding that note. Okay, now let's talk about canceling reservations. Like I said here, we've got this link to cancel the entire reservation. So all of the associated bookings, you click cancel reservation. To cancel the individual bookings, again, you'd hit the red minus button next to the booking. And you may make cancellations through WebApp up to 2 business days prior to the event date. If you need to cancel after that time, you're going to have to send us an email directly to request the cancellation. To see an overall summary of your requests, you can click View Reservation Summary. There you go. And it states in very plain terms everything that you asked for, everything that you requested, all of your notes, and all of the notes for every day and every booking that you requested. The request summary will also be automatically emailed to the first and second contacts that you selected previously and who are indicated here. So first contact, me, my email, and my second contact here. As that window mentioned before, when we clicked submit, after we submit it, student union staff will review the request in 24 to 48 business hours and contact you with next steps in order to confirm your reservation, or if they need any clarification on what you're doing or when you're doing it or why you're doing it, we'll be sending emails, as well as signing and returning the contract by the assigned deadline. Once we have reviewed your request, it will be moved to the next step in the process called tentative or tentative shared space status. At that point, you cannot make changes to your equipment or services through WebApp. If you want to make changes at that point, you'd have to, again, contact student union by email to request any updates. Now, let's go back to my events. To view the status of your event, click My Events, and a list of all future reservations will show, and the status column shows you that these have been requested to be approved. So, requested to be approved and shared space requested are awaiting review by the student union administration staff, and you can make any number of updates to these bookings through WebApp while it's in this status, or the shared space requested status. And again, once it's been reviewed, it will be changed to tentative or tentative shared space status. And at that point, you should receive communication from your student union event coordinator, which in this case is me, regarding next steps for confirming the event. All right. So when you're done with all your booking stuff, obviously to log out, click this arrow, simply click sign out. And that's it. That concludes the WebApp training content.